Hey, welcome back to the Shooter's Resource channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Springfield Armory Hellcat. This is chambered in 9mm. We're going to do a little range time with it, but before we get started, go ahead and take a second. Hit that like and subscribe button. The Springfield Hellcat. Well, this gun has really taken the industry by storm. And from Springfield Armory, who outside of the XD series and maybe a few other guns, are really known for making classic firearms like 1911s and M14s. As a matter of fact, Springfield Armory was created, at least the gun company we know today, back in 1974 by the Reese family, who borrowed that name from way back in the Revolutionary War time, where in 1777, George Washington actually instructed the Springfield Armory to house ammunition for the Revolutionary War. But also, Springfield's made the news more recently, back in 2017, for some controversy in the gun world, where they provided some funding to the Illinois Firearms Manufacturer Association, who was later exposed for anti-Second Amendment political actions. And Springfield took a lot of heat for that. Now, Springfield has later come out and said they weren't aware that the IFMA was doing those things, and they completely separated themselves from it, and since then have publicly done a lot of things to reprimand that. But I don't want to get lost in the politics. Let's look at the Hellcat. The Hellcat is made for everyday carry. It's a small size gun, what they call a micro compact. However, to me, I mean, I don't know that it's what I would consider micro compact. I think a lot more of the smaller 380s and 25 ACP, 32 ACP, and so on and so forth as micro compact. However, this is a pretty small gun, especially chambered in 9mm. And I heard a lot of other reviewers say that it recoiled quite a bit. I didn't notice that, and I shot several hundred rounds through the gun in 2 different sessions, and I didn't find it to recoil very much at all. Springfield advertises the Hellcat as the world's highest capacity micro-compact pistol. And right now, they're holding the record, unless you consider the Glock 43X micro-capacity, and you have shield arms for that 43X. But as from the factory, with their 11+1 magazine and 13+1 magazine, they're definitely king of the hill at this moment in time. I did see one challenge that a lot of other reviewers mentioned, which is the sights being off from the factory. So the sights on this gun were off from the factory. I've heard several others say it. So when you get your gun, check it out. You might find that the sights are off. It's a quality control problem that they've had, at least in the past. Hopefully they've corrected it now. It comes with a 3-inch barrel. The gun's 1 inch wide, and it only weighs 18 ounces. So it's not necessarily a pocket gun, but it's pretty small, and you can carry it without it really getting in the way. The gun, for me, performed 100% reliable. And Springfield tested this, and they claim on their website that they've got 20,000 rounds and counting through a specific firearm with no failures. The Hellcat is very ergonomic. The grip feels really good in your hand, and they market that they've used a special adaptive grip texturing, which uses 2 layers of pyramid to make sure that the grip is not overly aggressive for carry. However, you get a lot of traction and surface area on the firearm. I'll admit though, the controls on the firearm were pretty hard to get a hold of. That's pretty typical on most of your smaller pistols. However, I found the Hellcat to be a little more frustrating than some others I've run recently. The Hellcat has a loaded chamber indicator, and it also has top slide serrations that look pretty cool, but are marketed for added traction, for racking the slide in strange or awkward positions. Everything about this firearm was designed for defensive use, which is pretty cool, including an extended recoil spring that is textured on the end. And what it's designed to do is to stop the gun from going out of battery, meaning you can press it up against something and it doesn't push the slide out of place, so that the trigger still remains functional and you can fire even when the gun's pressed up against something. Now next up, I want to talk a little bit about performance. I'm going to be honest, this gun was very accurate for me. However, I did have trouble running and gunning with this gun. I could shoot it fairly fast at very close distances, let's say 5 to 7 yards, but I wasn't able to stay on target as well as I would have liked to at faster speeds or a little further distance. Now, some of that could have been me. There's no doubt about that, because when I slowed down, I could shoot the gun very accurate. Some of it could have been also the trigger. The trigger on this gun's about 6 pounds and some change, which is a little heavy, and I found the reset on this trigger was fairly long. Though I've seen a lot of folks on different reviews really talk highly of the trigger, but I just wasn't feeling it. I could shoot the gun fast and I could shoot the gun accurately, but I found it hard to do both. I understand that it's a smaller pistol, but I've shot several other smaller pistols, and I feel like I could either shoot them on par, and they were lower cost guns like the Taurus G3C, or I could shoot them slightly better, and they were equal cost guns. Looking at some other features of the Hellcat, one is that it has a standard rail, which is really nice, meaning that many lights will fit on the gun. However, there is one caveat. The rail's very short because you've got a 3-inch barrel, and so you might find that even though the rail is the right size, the light or attachment that you're trying to use doesn't really fit because it runs into the trigger guard. Springfield has introduced the Hex Wasp Micro Red Dot, and their OSP version of this firearm, or Optics Ready model, is going to be ready to accept that red dot without any intermediate plate. It also accepts the Shield RMSC and the JP Enterprise J point, and that's mounted directly to the slide without any intermediate plate. Now, the Hellcat is very highly thought of by many individuals that I've seen and that I respect. I've also noticed that on their website, it's won many awards, including Ballistic Reader's Choice 2020 Best Compact Handgun, the 2020 Handgun of the Year from Guns and Ammo, and the NRA Handgun of the Year. Now let's get to my opinion. Considering all the accolades, I had pretty high hopes for the Hellcat. I liked it quite a bit, but I wasn't overly impressed. If you're in the market for a compact self-defense gun, you might want to check out the Springfield Hellcat. But I would recommend shooting it first, seeing if it's right for you, and maybe checking out some of its competition, like the Glock 43X, the SIG P365, or the Taurus G3C. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you and God bless.